Daeron Targaryen. She's a claimant.
Rhaenyra
You
just killed a
may
man
not
she
rule
once
and
called
remain
family.
yourself.
And what she
There
did
is in you a
next
door that
on
must
that
shut.
bloody throne room floor
You will
is
do
going to
things
change
that your heart would have
everything
recoiled
you thought
from.
you knew about her. This is
I
House of the
dispute that I
Dragon
must become
Season
what I am
3,
not.
Episode 2. And trust me, you do
Time will
not
tell.
want to skip a single second of this breakdown, because the ending alone left me speechless. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why this episode might be the moment the entire war shifts in a direction nobody saw coming. Episode 2 of House of the Dragon Season 3 wastes absolutely no time pulling you into grief before it pulls you into war. The episode opens in complete silence, and that silence is doing more storytelling than any line of dialogue could. We see Jace's body floating in the water, just like every other soldier who died at the Battle of the Gullet, and that single image tells us something brutal. It does not matter if you carry the blood of the dragon. Death does not care about your bloodline. Death takes everyone the same way. This quiet opening is the calm before an absolute storm, and once Rhaenyra is confronted with her son's body, everything about her changes in an instant. Rhaenyra is in complete denial at first. She speaks to Jace as though he is still alive, as though this is all some terrible misunderstanding she can talk her way out of. But the truth eventually crashes into her, and this is now the second son she has lost in this war. If you remember what happened after Lucerys died, you would expect Rhaenyra to fall into the same deep depression that swallowed her whole for weeks. But this time is different. Daemon steps in and reframes Jace's death in a way that changes everything. He tells her Jace died for his queen, and there was no other way he would have wanted to go. That single line flips a switch inside Rhaenyra. Instead of grief pulling her under, it transforms into something far more dangerous. Rage, purpose, revenge, and that rage is exactly what fuels everything that happens for the rest of this episode. Meanwhile, across the city, Alicent is playing her own dangerous game. She sends Aemond off to Harrenhal riding Vhagar, and on the surface, this looks like a simple military strategy, removing the most powerful dragon in existence from guarding King's Landing. But this is not just strategy. This is Alicent quietly working behind the scenes to make sure Rhaenyra can take the city without facing the one weapon that could destroy her completely. Sir Rickard, however, is not fooled. He senses something is wrong, and his suspicion grows so strong that he ends up attacking Alicent directly, only to be thrown into a cell before he can do any real damage. This single moment is a warning sign. Not everyone loyal to the Greens is willing to go quietly, and that tension is about to explode. With Aemond gone and the city's defenses weakened, the plan shifts. Helena is meant to let Rhaenyra in peacefully, allowing for some kind of truce to be negotiated before any blood is spilled. But here is where things get emotionally devastating. Alicent is not doing this purely out of strategy anymore. She is doing this because she feels she has failed as a mother. She believes she allowed her children's hunger for the throne to corrupt them completely, and Helena's quiet words, admitting she was happier before she became queen, are eating away at Alicent's conscience. Alicent wants out. She wants to let go of everything, forget what she believes Viserys said about Aegon being the true heir, and simply disappear from the city before more people die. But fate has other plans for her. Alicent is captured before she can flee, and despite everything, she still keeps her end of the bargain. She allows Rhaenyra and Daemon to enter the city without resistance from her own forces. The only people who fight back are the ones loyal to the Greens, acting completely on their own, disobeying her orders entirely. And one of those people is Sir Rickard, who stands directly in front of the Iron Throne, ready to kill both Rhaenyra and Daemon the second they get close. This is the moment the entire episode has been building toward, a final desperate stand by a man who refuses to accept defeat. But then something unexpected happens. The Gold Cloaks march in, led by Sir Luthor, the very man Daemon personally gave his gold cloak to 20 years earlier, and in this moment they make their choice. They declare loyalty to Rhaenyra. Just like that, the tide turns completely, and the throne room belongs to her. Now Rhaenyra has to make the hardest decision of her entire life, one that will define exactly what kind of queen she is about to become. And sitting in that cell, waiting for judgment, is a man Rhaenyra has known her entire life. A man who practically raised her. So tell me, when the moment finally comes for her to decide his fate, do you think Rhaenyra will choose mercy, or will she prove once and for all that she is ready to rule with fear? The man in that cell is Sir Otto Hightower, the same man who raised Rhaenyra in the Red Keep, the same hand of the king who taught her how power truly worked long before she ever sat near the Iron Throne. And now, Rhaenyra has to decide whether the years of history between them mean anything at all, or whether they mean nothing in the face of war. Daemon is loving every second of this moment. The laugh he lets out when he sees Otto locked behind bars says everything about how long he has waited for this exact scene to happen. For Daemon, this is not complicated. Otto has always been the architect behind every scheme that put the Hightower name closer to power, and now he is finally trapped with nowhere left to hide. For Rhaenyra, though, this decision is anything but simple. She has never killed anyone before, not in battle, not in politics, not with her own hands. And the person she now has to execute is not some nameless soldier or faceless enemy. It is the man who watched her grow up, who shaped so much of her early life inside these very walls. There is real hesitation in her, a visible internal struggle as she stands before him, weapon in hand, fully aware that everyone in that room is watching to see what kind of ruler she is about to become. Despite everything she has said about wanting to rule with fairness and justice, this moment forces her to confront a harder truth. Sometimes a queen cannot only rule with fairness. Sometimes she has to rule with fear, or the people around her will never respect her authority. She kills him in 2 strikes, not the clean, precise execution Otto himself would have demanded, but enough to finish what needed to be done. And in the reflection of his own blood pooling across the floor, we watch Rhaenyra walk toward the Iron Throne and finally sit upon it. This is the moment the entire season has been building toward, and it lands with a kind of quiet, devastating weight. After years of waiting, fighting, losing children, losing allies, and being denied what was promised to her, Rhaenyra is finally queen. But here is the unsettling part. Even as she sits there, you can sense this is far from over. The war has not ended. It has only just begun to escalate. Outside the throne room, Alicent and Helena attempt one final, desperate escape, but they do not get far. They are captured and dragged before Rhaenyra, and it is in this exact moment that Alicent sees something that breaks her completely: her father's lifeless body lying on the ground. She had no idea Otto had been kept in the same building this entire time. And the horror of realizing she unknowingly handed her own father over to his execution is written all over her face. Alicent's entire plan was built around securing peace, around saving her children from further bloodshed, and now she is forced to face the cost of that plan in the most personal way possible. The question now is whether this changes anything for her moving forward, and whether Rhaenyra will allow her to live freely, or whether she becomes a prisoner inside her own city. Because make no mistake, Rhaenyra claiming the throne does not mean the danger is over. Aemond is still out there, and he still believes he is the rightful king, the ruler he feels he was always destined to become. Sitting on the Iron Throne does not erase that threat. If anything, it makes the coming confrontation even more inevitable. And while Rhaenyra deals with the political chaos inside King's Landing, Aemond is creating an entirely different kind of devastation at Harrenhal. Alicent sent him there originally just to get him out of the way, removing the threat of Vhagar from the city's skies. But what nobody accounted for was Aemond storming Harrenhal with full intent to destroy everything inside it. He unleashes Vhagar on the castle, tearing it apart from within, and kills everyone in his path, including the gentle and largely harmless Simon Strong and his entire family. His goal was simple: find Daemon and end him for good. But just like Aegon, the usurper was nowhere to be found in King's Landing when expected. Daemon is nowhere near Harrenhal either. After slaughtering Simon Strong, one of Strong's sons manages to land a single blow against Aemond, a wound that looks far more serious than anyone expected. Wounded and desperate, Aemond turns to the one person left who might help him survive: Alys Rivers. And here is where things get truly unpredictable, because Alys now holds something incredibly valuable in her hands. The man Daemon hates more than anyone else in the world, wounded, vulnerable, and completely at her mercy. So, what exactly is Alys planning to do with him? Is she going to heal him out of loyalty, manipulate him for her own gain, or hand him over to the one man who has wanted him dead since this entire war began? Alice Rivers has always been a woman who plays a long game, and now she has the perfect piece on her board. Aemond is wounded, desperate, and completely dependent on her for survival, and that gives her enormous leverage. There are two ways this could go, and both are equally chilling. She could offer him up to Daemon, knowing exactly how much Daemon wants him dead, using Aemond as a bargaining chip to finally secure Harrenhal for herself, something she has wanted this entire time. Or she could heal him completely, tying his survival directly to her own ambitions, making him owe her a debt he can never fully repay. If she chooses to save him, Aemond will not forget who kept him alive when he was at his weakest, and that kind of loyalty could reshape the entire balance of power moving forward. Either decision she makes is going to ripple through the rest of this war, and right now, nobody knows which path she will choose. What we do know is that once Aemond recovers, and there is little doubt that he will, his fury is going to be uncontrollable. He is going to learn that his own mother and sister allowed Rhaenyra to walk into King's Landing and claim the Iron Throne without facing the full might of Vhagar. That betrayal, whether intentional or not, is going to feel personal to him. And when Aemond eventually rises again, expect him and Vhagar to bring a level of destruction we have not yet seen in this season, especially once he learns the full truth about how Jace really died and who is responsible for it. And that brings us to one of the most quietly explosive storylines in this entire episode, the situation involving the Valyrians. While the throne room drama was unfolding, a completely different kind of tension was building elsewhere. Alan, Adam, and Baela were desperately searching for Lord Corlys after his battle with Lord Hoher left his fate completely unknown following the Battle of the Gullet. When they finally find him, Corlys has survived, but High Tide has been left in flames, and with it, almost everything he once had. Stripped down to nothing but his name and his title, Corlys does something that changes everything for Alan. He finally gives Alan his name, the one thing Alan has wanted his entire life. This single moment quietly shifts the entire direction of their relationship going forward, and it is going to play a much bigger role as the season continues. But while one family finds a strange kind of resolution, another is unraveling completely. Rhaena has been forced to flee because she knows Rhaenyra will be hunting her down. Rhaenyra is aware that Sheepstealer appeared during the Battle of the Gullet, but she has no idea that her own niece, Rhaena, was the one riding it. Furious about the role that Dragon played in distracting Jace during the battle, the distraction that ultimately led to his death, Rhaenyra orders Daemon to track down both the rider and the dragon responsible. Daemon agrees without hesitation, completely unaware that the person he has just been ordered to hunt down and kill is his own daughter. Meanwhile, Rhaena has gone straight to the Vale, begging Jane Arryn for protection. Knowing exactly how much danger she is in, Jane agrees to shelter her, promising protection whenever it is needed. But this leaves us with one of the most dangerous emotional conflicts the show has set up so far. What happens when Daemon eventually discovers that the person he has been ordered to hunt down is his own blood? Will his loyalty stay with Rhaenyra, the woman he has fought beside through everything, or will it shift toward his daughter, the one person tied to him by blood rather than oath? This episode did not just move the story forward, it planted seeds of betrayal, grief, vengeance, and impossible choices that are going to define everything that comes next. Rhaenyra sits on the Iron Throne now, but the people threatening to tear it away from her are multiplying faster than she can control. Aemond is healing and burning with rage. Alice Rivers is plotting something we cannot fully predict yet, and Daemon is about to be caught between the woman he loves and the daughter he never truly knew. So here's the real question heading into the next episode. When Daemon finally learns the truth about who was riding Sheepstealer, what is he actually going to do? And more importantly, how long can Rhaenyra hold on to a throne that everyone around her seems determined to take back?